Okay, so this is a training that I've delivered to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of 7, 8 figure business owners, many of whom are speakers, coaches, consultants, sales leaders, sales managers, service providers. They come to our class and they got a lot of value out of this. So I want to really give you the very best concepts in just a short amount of time. I want to tell you this is going to be a little bit unhinged. It's going to be a free flow. It's going to be really interesting, fascinating, deep dive into the world of marketing and what exactly is going on right now. Now, I need to tell you something. I'm not a guru. There are so many of these gurus around. In fact, we are actually the coaches. They help your favorite guru and your favorite other gurus. They are in the space also. So usually when all these speakers, consultants, sales leaders, you see them on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok all the time. When they need help and their stuff isn't working, they call us. And usually I give them this sharing, which is what I'm going to give you now. So, okay, so for the length of this entire video, please do nothing else. Watch the entire thing. I know these days people's time and attention, it's quite hard for people to sit down and really focus. So I'm going to make it as fun, as interesting as I humanly can. I just need your cooperation to watch this entire thing because it will give you an illuminating insight into what the heck is going on in marketing these days. I'm going to take you through a little bit of a journey. I'm going to give you different examples. I'm going to be a little bit unfiltered here. I hope you like this kind of thing. I can give you the real truth. Because if you're going to watch a video, you might as well get an insider, that's me, to give you the inside truth. Really, really important here. Okay, cool. So here is what is happening in the world of marketing these days. How do we get started with all these things? A long time ago, 2015 to 2019, we were living in the glorious age of Facebook ads. And this was how it worked out. It was Facebook ads. We go to a landing page and people come for a preview. And that's it. You know, the answer to all problems was to spend more money on ads. Do you remember those days? It's just people taking images, putting it on ads, then getting people to a landing page. Landing page didn't even have to have much copy. Tell people you can do something. Need to prove it? No need. Need to build a brand? No need. Need to follow up? No need. Just ask them to come down to usually a live presentation. Back in 2019, no Zoom. So live presentations. And you know, I had friends who were doing that and they were flooding out, you know, in Singapore, International Plaza, overseas, just room after room, all these people coming through ads. And then they would just do their presentation and they would sell and do really well. And then during that period of time, the answer to all business problems was to spend more money on ads. Or maybe run more ads. That was glorious freaking days. However, times have changed. Let's explain why times have changed, by the way. In case you missed some of my earlier videos, we're going to talk about something we call market cycles. Okay, what the heck is a market cycle? A market cycle is a period of time where something works for a while. And then everyone jumps on the bandwagon and proceeds to crash and die. You know, this is why it's so important to adapt. And that's why we love working with people. But some of the folks who come to us, they're confused. Maybe that's you. You're confused why a certain method that used to work for you for a while has stopped working, lost track of the number of prop, next, ERA, orange tea, real estate agents. They say, hey, you know what, Mel, how come this method has given me so many leads for real estate, some financial advisors, for financial advisory, for my webinar, for my preview before? This method was our stone cold method that worked for 4 or 5 years, made me millions of dollars. Now, it's not working. Why? Very simple. It's kind of like you buy this particular investment or buy this particular method, everyone jumps on it, everybody gets saturated, everyone gets bought, method no longer works also. So we have to understand we live in a world of market cycles. I can tell you as a person who has done this for 18 plus years, each market cycle lasts about 4 to 5 years, which means at the start, it's somebody's secret method. Then afterwards, everyone jumps on it. Then it hits saturation point. Then it no longer works. In fact, it reverses. So everyone's like, you know what, I don't want to watch this shit anymore. And then we have to go on to the next one. So it's not me that wants to change. It's that people's psychology, they get too much of a good thing. It's a bad thing. People get sick of it after a while. That's why so much adaptation needs to happen. So that's something you need to understand. And I always tell people, when they call me, the 6, 7, 8 figure people, when they call me, I always tell them, hey, are you willing to hold two opposing, contradictory thoughts in your mind? Which is the fact that, yes, this thing used to work. But is it possible that something that used to work no longer works now? We got to acknowledge, if we hold on to the past for a long time, we might not be in a space where we can take a look at what happens and works right now and what happens in the future. Very, very important as well. So that's why some stuff, and in fact, a lot of stuff that used to work are no longer working. Hit saturation point, times have changed, completely useless in this day and age as well. So we have all these realtors and coaches coming up to us talking about these kind of things, and they want to make sense of what the hell is going on. So, as I mentioned, we live in a world where we have something we call a trust recession. So, how the heck did a trust recession happen? Number one, during 2015 to 19, too many ads were running. At the same time, a lot of people didn't really cultivate a brand, didn't follow up with people, they made a lot of wild claims and promises. And it was a more innocent time, it was a more gullible time. Everyone just said they could do things without proving they could do things. I think a lot of people got burned. And so people went for a lot of these previews, they went for a lot of these seminars, they went for a lot of these things, and they were like, hey, you know what? I don't think this guy is legit at all. And after a while, they're like, I'm going to attend less of these things because it's the same old, same old. I'm going to be a bit more cautious. That's the first step of why there's a trust recession. People got burned. Then the second part is that as they got burned in 2020, during COVID time, people stayed at home and they realized that they could watch a lot of content that was being put out by the folks that can't go anywhere during COVID. They put out a lot of information and content. They realized they could watch all this stuff and therefore get to build trust and familiarity with people. And so they can watch the more stuff they watch of you, they get to understand you, your story, the way you talk, they like you as a person. If they like your origin story, they like the stuff that you put out. And then they would actually follow people not from ads alone, people that say they could do things, but they will follow people from the content of them doing those things and build a relationship and trust over there. And we start to see a change away from just people clicking advertising that claims they can do something to actually following people who have a consistent output of content that demonstrate they're actually good at doing something. And those contents started to build something called trust and familiarity with people. And the more of these platforms you put out, the more you started to build what we call a following. Right? And you started to build an audience. And the funny thing is, the more you build a following and an audience, you will consume hours and hours and hours, even tens, hundreds, even thousands of hours of your content. They don't even need much persuasion, if any persuasion, to buy your stuff should you have something to launch. The people like Stephen Barnett, everybody watches his Diary of a CEO podcast when he was here the last time around. Including me, I just need a link to sign up. You understand that same ideas because when your favorite band rolls around, for some girls it's Blackpink, for me it's Backstreet Boys, dating myself here. I like them so much, I watch so much of their stuff, sang so much of their songs. When they come around, I don't really need much of a persuasion. I just need a link. And so we started to move towards the fact that when people build a content, when they show up for their community consistently, they follow up, they appear in front of people, they come not just from I want to sell you something, but from a place of being an expert, giving valuable information, building themselves as a brand, staying consistent with their follow-up. People see you every single day. You stay top of mind. And when and should they have a need to buy, or when you have an offer, people click on it instantly. Now, this is really a difference in the way people think. It was very, very difficult to get some of the 7-8 figure folks who had made their money just purely from ads to switch towards this. I put this down to like neuroplasticity, people's ability to change their mind and change their philosophy. Because why we are entering a philosophy these days of what we call give first. And it's sometimes very difficult for people who only just do ads related stuff because that's a take first. I want to sell them things, I want to take first mentality. But now you got to give first. You got to give via your community. You got to give via your content and information. We have to enter a space of give first. And so a lot of folks that didn't adapt, just, how can I just sell better? Take all their money ASAP. The answer is just do more selling, do more ads alone. Well, those people, many of whom we have seen, some of them we have even worked with and partnered before, they're no longer around. But it is the people who practice give first these days that succeed. So as you're watching this, and as we have a time to chat, I think it's really important we start to first switch our philosophy, realize what is happening, and have our philosophy switch from, I just want to hit these people up to how can I build a brand, how can I give first, how can I contribute and add value to people's lives. Do those things first in this new economy. Build a brand and following, build trust and familiarity with our people. Then we're able to have a following audience and be able to sell to them. I give you a divergence in this philosophy in the recent US election and also the Singapore election. Ooh, unhinged. A little bit of a colorful example here. You saw Trump versus Kamala. Kamala spent $1.1 billion on traditional advertising. She did traditional mainstream media, very, very scripted, not very authentic. She spent a lot on traditional ads kind of advertising. When they were doing podcasts, it was all very scripted, very not very real. And guess what? $1.1 billion. Still awesome. Trump spent under $100 million. So that's already more than 10 times cheaper than Kamala. He appeared on all these mainstream podcast platforms. that were run on social media channels where the people had a big following. He said, hey, you know what? Ask me anything. He was willing to flow with all the different Gen Z, 20-year-old comedic Joe Rogan podcast hosts. And he came across as authentic, very real. People might not agree with everything he said, but you could feel like, oh, okay, I can connect with this guy. Because over that long conversation, he talked about a whole bunch of topics. So Trump spent less money, won with a landslide. Kamala spent a lot of money, lost massively. That alone should teach you and tell you what exactly is happening in this day and age. The second point I want to make is this morning, as you watch this video, did you take out your phone and did you follow people? Did you access social media? Did you watch podcasts, listen to stuff? How many times do you do that a day? I promise you 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 times, maybe 20 times. Look at yourself. You are following people all day. Now suppose the person you like that you follow, that's an event, that's a gathering, that's a meetup. Would you go? You would. Why? Because these days, it is not the selling, that is the persuasion, it is the content. It is the fact that you watch and follow them every single day. That is the persuasion. That alone makes you want to go to see them, buy their stuff, should it be launched. They don't even need to spend so much time persuading. Is this very different than before? Absolutely. The content, the brand, the following, the community, the cultivation is the new sales persuasion. That's something we all need to familiarize ourselves with. Big question is, as you watch this, do you have that? If you don't have that, you're relying on traditional old methods, you could be like Kamala. $1.1 billion, so much money spent, and also not getting a result, which is exactly what many of the old school clients are undergoing. It's sometimes really difficult to help and coach people who notice clear changes happening and refuse, because they hold on to the past, they refuse to change their mind. Okay, they come to us and say, you know what, I'm using the old methods that used to work. I spend more money. Why are the leads dropping? Then the quality of the leads are trash. Think about it. You spend more money, which sucks. Then you get lesser leads, which double sucks. And then the quick leads that come are low quality, which triple sucks. Why? Because those leads alone, they don't know who you are. They haven't seen your brand, but maybe you don't have one. You don't have a following. There is no follow-up. So you're just a random fella, unknown. Sometimes, when you run a Facebook ad, you don't even put your face. You're an unknown fella, anonymous person who, they kind of sign up, no emotional connection at all. So when it comes time to either attend your preview, webinar, buy your stick, or whatever it is, they don't show up because there is no connection. We need to fix this. In a lot of my videos, I talk about the fact that if you want ads to work out really well in this day and age, you got to build a brand, a following. You got to build an audience. When you have all those things and people watch your stuff and they know who you are, then when you run an ad, then they're like, oh my God, that's my favorite guy. God. They buy it. It's like, really low cost per lead. Funny enough, you want ads to work, you got to do that content stuff. Really, really critical. As Brian and I coach people, so many hurdles they have towards creating content. First of all, we need to recognize we live in this age. Very important. After content, really critical to do the next thing, which is to follow up. And this is another philosophical thing that we need to discuss, because most of the old school people hate to do follow-up. They only want to do what I call top feeding. What is top feeding? Get a whole bunch of people in, all the people that want to buy, everyone else, well, we don't give a shit about them. They just leave and get a new bunch of people in. There's no relationship built, just see who wants to buy, collect their money, screw everybody else. That's old school, man. Now when we get people in, we want to make sure they build a relationship with them when they come in here. Those that want to buy, those who don't want to stay in touch with them. When their buying temperature hits a certain level, when you cultivated and access the community, and they're like, you know what, actually, this guy shows up for me every single day. I can see it's real, it's authentic, it really does this kind of thing. Hey, you know what? They will actually buy. So really critical in this day and age that you have your own cultivation and community, you have your own brand and content, and you do it in a consistent manner. Super critical. Those are the things that many people are not doing. Then, when it comes time to convert, smooth as butter. Very important. I want to also talk about change. And if you're watching this, can you change? Is it too late to change? Well, first of all, it's not even about that. It's really important to change. If you don't jump on this, if you don't do your content and build your following and community, you are literally invisible in this day and age. If you say, screw that, I'll just take my old school methods of ads, we're going to spend a lot of money and get a lot of rubbish. This is the only method that works in this day and age. I'm not the one putting forth. I have done this for 18 years. I also have other easier methods that I wish was working right now. But this is the way it works these days. We got to change, man. We have to adapt. So I'm going to tell you a story about change, and this involves the Singapore government. Now, whether you like the government or not, that's besides the point. But let me tell you, a couple of elections ago, The Singapore government, PAP, People's Action Party, they were getting trounced. They were trounced because specifically the opposition, which didn't have a big budget, were not doing traditional advertising. They're a bunch of interns that were mostly like the nieces, nephews, the relatives of the running candidates. It was a bunch of teenagers, young people running the social media. They were getting more views, more engagement than the PAP's rallies and social media. PAP was doing old traditional style social media, or in some cases, no social media at all. And so the opposition candidates were jumping on all these new methods, ability to change and adapt, and they were doing really, really well. I definitely tell you that right after the election, they were so close. In some cases, the PAP, People's Action Party, lost. I bet you they went back and had a conversation. The conversation was like, hey man, there's this new thing called social media. Do we want to jump on it and adjust and adapt? And I definitely tell you, some of the people were like, I am not doing that shit, man. I am not doing this social media stuff. I'm not sure content, you follow me around. This is nonsense. I definitely tell you, somebody went in there and said, do you want to be cool and not do these things? Or do you want to win? And you know what? How do you know that conversation happened? Because these new candidates all jumped on the bandwagon and started doing it. They jump on the bandwagon, their social media, whether you like them or not, their social media is a lot better. Makes them more relatable. They're able to connect with people. They're on all of these channels. They do these things. They get posts, they get comments, they get engagement. Now they're doing way better than the opposition party. And guess what? They won. They won good in the recent election. Would it have helped? Would it have turned out the same way if they didn't? I think if they didn't connect with the people, they would have not gotten the result that they got. So this is the way things are. I didn't make it this way. I'm actually here on this video to deliver a message. Deliver a message of here is the current state of things. We need to shoot out content. All attention is there. We need to follow up with people. We need to know how to convert. We need to turn them into clients. And you know, do all of these also, by the way. We got to nail something we call our character, right? That's why we book a call and chat together with you. Because a character is a subset of the vision that you have. I can't tell you what your character is now. I don't know what your vision is. And off your character, we can come up with a strategy for your content, your community, and a whole bunch of different things. Different businesses, different people, different age group, different demographics, different goals they have in mind, have different ideas and strategies. And there's one thing, we're very humanistic in that regard. We don't just prescribe a standard answer for everybody. It's kind of like wearing clothes, right? What looks good on me might not look good on you. What looks good on you might not look good on me. And this is a big reason why we need to have a chat. But I want to preach and push the idea of change. If not for anything, even just for myself, I came from the times when doing Facebook ads was a lot easier. You know, these days you got to shoot content, you got to do all this community. There's a lot of work. I totally understand. Okay, and this is what separates the people who actually do it and do it exceptionally well, engage people every single day, and all the people that either don't do it, don't know it, don't do it consistently. There's a huge divide. So as we wrap up, all I just want to mention is one thing. I know it takes a lot more these days. This is why we're chatting, so we can come up with a strategy. Wouldn't it be great if we all go back to the days where we just run an ad, you know, everybody just show up? Don't worry, I totally get it. I also wish those days were here, but they're gone. They're never coming back. And you know, this is the way things are. We need to come up with a strategy. The good news is we have AI. We didn't get a chance to talk about that. You know, when we jump on the call, we can discuss about AI. We can talk about how you can use AI intelligently. Don't just let AI do all your work for you. It sounds very robotic. How you can use AI intelligently to create a lot of these content, create a lot of these things that need to be created. This is the way things are these days. But here's the promise. The problem is so few people either know this or are willing to do it, or more importantly, are willing to do it consistently. And so the opportunity to dominate, let's write that word down. Ooh, very aggressive word. That space, the ability to dominate is there for your taking. That's what happens when folks listen to us. We teach them a method that few know, few do, and even few will do it consistently. And when you are willing to do the things that other people are not willing to do, you stand out. You dominate. And what is the benefit and the reward of domination? Then you get to make that high 7 and 8 figures that other people dream of. At the end of the day, people are going to buy. They're going to buy from somebody. The person that puts out the content, the person that gives them value, the person that builds a relationship with them, that's who they're going to buy from. If you don't do it, somebody else will do it, and that person will get all the business. Our time together is for you to be that person, to do what other people are not willing to do, or other people don't know to do, or other people are not willing to do consistently. You don't do those things, you become the industry titan, the market leader. So that's why we're chatting. Because I want you, if you're watching this video, stay this long, I want you to be the market leader. I want you to be right at the top. Get all the attention. Because of that, you're the number one premium choice. You get the best people working with you. They don't give you resistance when they watch all your shit before. And when they come to you, they have a lot of respect and deference for what you have. That's the kind of people you want in your business. And that's the kind of person I want you to be in your business. So as you think about all these things, I want to introduce two concepts to you. And the concepts are called polarization and qualification. Super important concepts for you to understand as you embark on this I want to shoot content kind of behavior. So really critical. A lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to shoot it. What if people don't like me? Listen, human beings 100% can't get behind any common idea. Minus the fact that eventually we're going to die. That's the only thing that everyone can get behind. Other than that, taxes. Some people avoid taxes. Some people believe in God, don't believe in God, believe in what kind of God. You ask people what music they like. Some people like some music, some people hate it, some people like peace and quiet. Nobody can get behind a common idea. So you need to understand, first and foremost, not everyone's going to like your content, which is fine. Our goal in life is to attract the kind of people that want and vibrate and resonate with us. That's it. For everyone else, we liberate them to go find somebody else. That's it. So we want to attract and put our stuff out knowing not everyone will agree. If you disagree, no problem. You can go and find somebody else you agree with. But this is my stand. And so having to take a stand is critical. And so we have that concept called polarization. Now, every time I talk about polarization, people get all touchy. They are like, you know what he talks about is to be offensive. Or, what he talks about is, go out there and say no controversial things. No. That's not what polarization stands for. Think about this. The two poles in the world. One is called North Pole, another is called South Pole. So in order for polarization to work, it means that you need to be one of these poles. You need to take a stand. So here's an example of polarization. What are your thoughts on abortion versus my body, my choice? There's abortion, right? My body, my choice, or pro-life. See, you got to pick one or the other. You can't be sometimes pro-life, sometimes my body, my choice. You can't do that. You got to pick either you're for abortion or you're for pro-life. Now that already, when I do this in the room with people, that already puts people in one or two categories. You either stand for abortion, which means I can do whatever I want with my body as a woman, if you're a woman, or on the other hand, no, pro-life. And then immediately, that's what polarization means. Now, what's my point of mentioning this is that we got to take a stand. Now, every time you take a stand, there are people who will disagree with you. And that's okay. Just let them disagree. And you stand for the things you stand for. You won't be able to please everybody. And the people that agree with your stand will come to find you. Super important. Next one is the idea of qualification and also the law of resonance. The law of resonance, and that's why we need to get on a call and chit-chat so that I can help you find what exactly is the frequency, the story, your X factor, etc. It's really important because at the end of the day, you will always find people that vibrate, that like the kind of things you like, have a life story similar to you. And in a way, I call it X equals X, law of vibration, law of resonance, law of attraction. That's why they come and find you. Because you are basically them, or you are what they aspire to be. Or in them, you might see yourself like 5, 6, 7 years ago. So that's why you have found each other. And the realization is you cannot match with every single person. Some people quiet, you're not quiet maybe, or maybe you introverted, they're extroverted. You can't match with everybody. So you just need to be the best version of you. And then at the end of the day, the people that vibrate with you, they will come find you. That is the law of resonance and vibration and law of attraction, and understanding that at the end of the day, every time we share, every time we teach something, we share an idea. We share an idea before we sell a product. For example, if I have a crypto trading class, for you to buy my crypto trading class, you must first believe that cryptocurrency is a viable investment. If you don't buy this idea, you won't even buy the class. I could be selling a property investment class. If you don't believe in property, you won't even buy the class. So people always buy an idea before they buy your product or even they buy you. So every time you share an idea, people fall into one of three categories. The first one is called yes, which means they love your idea. The next one is called no, which means they hate your idea. And another one is called DGAF, which means don't give an F. You can complete what F is. But at the end of the day, it just means that the idea is not very important to them in the then and now. So let's say talk about crypto or property or maybe health and biohacking. These are all ideas you share. Some people will be like, oh my God, that's my guy. I agree. I like that stuff. Amazing. They will come to you. Some people are like, no, this guy or this gal is full of shit, and they will not come to you. Then there are people that are like, I don't really care about my health right now. I just want to make money, or I got a family to take care of, or whatever journey they're on. So that's fine. Now, if we spend all our time talking to people, They either don't care about our concept or disagree with our concept. I predict a lot of pain and a lot of poverty for you. But if you talk to people that agree with you, then I predict a lot of joy and a lot of wealth. So every time we think about content, I help people find their stand, find their story, put themselves authentically out there and be like, hey, if you agree with me, please come to me. My responsibility to help you. If you disagree with me, no problem. Go find somebody else. That's the way to think about content creation. Discover the most authentic, best version of yourself. Put it out there, attract the people you want, and liberate all those who disagree or don't like your face to find somebody else. That's the key. Now, in this pursuit of what I call the 5 C's, which I mentioned before, first one being character, which is very much tied to your vision. The second being content. Then the next one being community, which I'm going to always bracket my favorite word here, which is cultivate. Then conversion. You're going to hear me say this like a gazillion times, really critical for us to nail this. And after conversion, we have to take a look at the last one is when they become a client, right? These are the 5 C's. You have not already taken a screenshot, written this down, super important. This is the way the game is played in this day and age. Yes, very different. Every time period has people playing the game in a completely different way. Don't ask me about it. It's just, I told you about market cycles and, every 4 to 5 years, we will start something, rockets to a place, everyone jumps on it, then the method dies. And then we just restart with a brand new method. So, hey, in this new time and age, this is the method. This is the 5 C's. How long will this last? I have no idea. There's enough runway for us to jump on it to make a fortune, which is why you're watching this video. For sure, I'll tell you it won't last forever. But so now, for the next few years, this is the answer. So let's take a look at character and vision. I mentioned just now, the whole process of designing a character, completely understand. You got to be polarizing, which means you take a stand, not meaning being offensive. Then at the same time, you need to understand which is the audience that you want to really attract. They'll probably be very similar to you. This is why we need to chat, so that we can take a look at what your history is. They will probably define the kind of people that you attract. I've met some folks at events before. They are all like, they got a kind of rebellious story. Funny enough, they attract a whole bunch of rebellious people. Got some people that used to be in corporate and quit and start their job. Funny enough, they attract a whole bunch of corporate people that then quit their job. I got a guy who does financial advisory. I dive into his story. Used to be from the military, then now started his journey. Funny enough, attracts a whole bunch of people that used to be former civil service and military. So you will always attract people that are very, very similar to you when you find out what those things are. Now let's take a look in terms of content, which is really critical, right? There are different layers of content, and I want to talk about it because why? Because if you have ever shot content before and it turned out to be really boring, this is exactly why. A lot of people, they sit down and say, okay, I will shoot content, and they become very prim and proper. When they become very prim and proper, what they basically do is they sit down and maybe mention 3 ways to protect your finances, 4 ways to buy the best stock, and then no one watches it. They get like 27 views, 7 of which is from their mother, and then 10 more from their loved ones, and then that's it. No one watches it. Now, why? Why do people not watch it? Very simple. It's because in this day and age, before we watch anything, we must first know the person. If we don't even know the person, we ain't gonna watch this shit. That's really just the key. So before people get to know you, first of all, you got to get their attention. Critical. So we need to nail their attention first. Okay, we need to be scroll stopper. Got it there. Scroll stopper. You go through the stuff and you get their attention. Very critical. Attention, number 1. After you get their attention, they're like, oh my God, I like the way this guy talks. Quite funny, quite interesting, quite entertaining. Then who is he? Origin story. Second one. And then after they're like, I like this guy. Got my attention. I kind of resonate with his story. Now I don't mind watching more stuff from him. The third one we call expertise. Really critical. 3 parts of this. First, you get attention, you get origin story, then you get expertise. So guess where everyone screws up? They all shoot expertise content without first doing the attention and then the origin story also. This is why we gotta chat and we gotta plan this stuff out. Most of the time, if you're probably not shooting content, but if I was to stick a camera in your face, high chance you will be shooting a lot of only expertise content, which is why they're getting so low views. We fix that stuff. We need to start out with attention and a whole bunch of things also. Then after that, then we go into the origin story. In fact, you know what? Let me just show you my own Instagram. Okay, let's go. Let's take a look at my own Instagram. Okay, so here's some high converting videos. Okay, that I'm going to show you. Here is one where, okay, let's take a look at this. Oh my God, naked fella doing an ice bath. That's basically me, right? So I mean, this particular thing, it gets your attention. It's ice bath, it's kind of wearing clothes, and it attracts the people that like this kind of ice bath, high performance kind of stuff also. So it gets your attention. Then they read the caption, and they might come into my profile and go, who the heck is this guy? Let me see something else. Okay, here is another one. Okay, let me just see. Let's just take a look over here. Here's an 83K one where we're talking about pickleball, and me and my buddy John, we break down the pickleball and why he feels that it's a bubble, etc. That gets a lot of people's attention, and I got a lot of followers from that reel because I bet they clicked and landed on my profile, and when they landed on my profile, then they went to take a look at my origin story also, right? They come and take a look at some of my content, they take a look at some of my origin story, they understand a little bit about who I am. That's critical. Then afterwards they might be like, okay, I like this guy, I like the way he talks, etc. Follow, and then they get to view a lot of my expertise content on a regular basis also. Okay, so that's exactly how content works in this day and age. You gotta have that pyramid. Can't just keep shooting there. So as we work together, or as we chat, we're gonna create for you what I call AMA. This is my favorite thing. I urge you not to just listen to influencers. A lot of influencers, they are narcissistic. They are largely involved in getting attention because they want the attention. Like, look at me. But the monetization either doesn't exist. We coach quite a few of them. And the monetization either doesn't exist or it comes from sponsorship deals. That's the key. That's why they're out there getting all of these different attention. But you're not an influencer. You want to get clients at the end of the day. So we need to have appropriate monetizable attention. So the attention we want, we are not out there dancing, showing off, or weird stuff also. We want to be able to get attention that's the right kind, that frames us in the right way, makes people at the end of the day, yes, stop the scroll, want to know us, but also want to pay us, want to work together with us. I got to frame you correctly. You got to be framed as an expert. This is very important. By the way, I share something with you that's really cool. When you get their attention, you get their eyeballs. Ooh, I created this moment. Now, when you share your origin story, you get their heart. When you share your expertise, you get their brain. And when you have their eyeballs, you have their heart, and you have their brain, you guess what? They give you their wallet. Haha! That's why it's very important to create 3 categories of content. Really critical. That's what we'll be doing together to dive into your story and find it out. So, by the way, content differs from person to person to person. Let me give you an example, right? I help a fellow called Jameson. I've helped a girl called Chloe. I've helped a lady called Ethan, and I help a guy called Kevin Go. Now, these are all financial advisors. All financial advisors. And what makes one person resonate with one over the other? It's not just the content they shoot, it's the person that they are. This is why we need to discover the character and the person you are that will influence the content you shoot. Jameson comes across as a more older guy who is the father figure guiding the youth. So he has a lot of content targeted towards like university students, and he's like that older father trying to guide them and make the right decisions. So that appeals to a certain group of people. If you fall into that category, you might really vibe with Jameson. Chloe is a very active gal. In fact, she's probably closed more deals wearing sports attire and at the gym. She plays netball. She used to be the netball team, etc. And the people that resonate with her, unsurprisingly, are all the girls that do yoga, Pilates, netball, active girls. And so her content and her character attracts this kind of people. Ita is married. She does really, really well, makes millions of dollars a year. She's married, a wife, and a mother of 3. So if you are somebody who is like, female power, right, want women to do really well, and you are married, and you like somebody who's married and is a mother and balances all the elements, that is your gal. And Kevin's a young leader. He's in his early 30s, and he's made a lot of money. And he's number 1 team in AIA called Odyssey. And he's a flashy guy. He likes to have his nice watch and nice cars and nice suits. And if that appeals to you, you go to him. So in the design of content, we need to look at what kind of person you are authentically. I'll design things that can help stop the attention. Each of these people will go about it differently. We will tell our origin story in a different way and show our expertise accordingly in the more appropriate way possible. Hence, attracting the kind of people that we want. Very, very, very important. Also. And that, by the way, is a story also about positioning. Right? These are all just stories about positioning. Now, positioning, man, my favorite topic. I want to tell you about my first mentor called Marshall Thurber. Now, Marshall Thurber is the rich dad, poor dad. He has trained Tony Robbins, Robert Kiyosaki, etc. But his story is not really about Marshall as much as it is about Marshall's son. Marshall has a son called Rawson Marshall Thurber, who very, very long ago wanted to be a Hollywood director. And he wrote a script of a movie you might have heard of before. but I don't want to spoil the story, so stay with me. Right? This movie, he wrote the script. It was called Dodgeball. You can Wikipedia it. You can search it up. Dodgeball, great script. Went to the studio. The studio looked at it and said, you know what? Great script. We want to buy it. Then Rawson said, okay, cool, but I want to direct it. So am I going to direct it? The studio said, no, you're a new director. Nobody knows who you are. I just want to buy the script. Rawson said, no, I want to direct it. And so the studio said, I'm not interested. They come back with an additional offer and say, you know what? Here's more money. I want to buy the script. Rawson said, no, I want to direct the script. And the studio said, okay, never mind. We go back. Then they come back again, and this time now they say, hey, here's a whole bunch of money. We'll let you assistant direct. No director will let you assistant direct. Then you can shadow an experienced director, and then you can kind of be in the thing. Then Rawson went to ask my mentor Marshall, the mentor to Tony Robbins and Robert Kiyosaki, should I do the assistant director role? And you know what Marshall said? Marshall said no. Because the more you nail the wrong position, the more for the rest of your life, you're always going to get the wrong position. If you do an assistant director, you do a good job, guess what you're going to get? More assistant director roles. And then guess what's going to happen later on? More assistant director roles. It's just going to perpetuate. That's what's going to happen. And so he told Rawson, insist that you be a director. So Rawson went back to the studio and said, hey, you know what? If I don't become a director, no script. Finally, the studio relented. They said, you know what? We'll give you a small budget. You got to be a director to shoot the script. Rawson spent all the money on an actor called Ben Stiller. The movie turned into a smash hit. Now everyone knows Rawson as a director. He has since directed movies like We Are the Millers, Skyscraper, Red Notice, a whole bunch of Hollywood hits. It's because he took up the right position. If your position is wrong and you take up the wrong position, you can't go down the line and then say, you know what, I'm not this person. Especially when you have long evidence of having been that person, being in a position that you don't want to be. So it's very important. This is why we need to check, so you don't mess up this positioning. Because if you do, then it's very hard to repair and tell people you're not that which you have clearly done before. Messes everything up. So really, really critical. They're very critical for you to understand this. That's the positioning part. Let's talk about the community part also. Community, very important. You got to go where your people are found. All these different places, people building, telling stories and relating to people. I love community. And by the way, community, creating this content and community stuff, you got to use AI. You got to use AI. I tell you right now, if you are constantly on sales calls and coaching calls and you work with your team and you're like, oh my God, I don't know if I have content, you need to do one or two things. No, in fact, you need to do both of those things. You need to get a person to follow you around so that they record in the moment you passionately doing the stuff that you do. A lot of the stuff that I put on social media are just a byproduct of having folks that follow me around and record these things. I'm just doing my thing. And they record it, they cut it up, and then they release it. Very, very critical and important. Then the next one is to use AI to know how to take all the calls and all the connections and conversations you have with folks and turn it into content, and turn it into emails, turn it into posts, turn it into videos, turn it into so many different things that you can use to stay in touch with people consistently. That's the thing we need to do. I know you got to do this consistently, but we're going to use all these tools, use all these ingredients to help us stay in touch with people. So every single day, they can't stop seeing you everywhere. Stay in touch, top of mind. When they want to buy, they buy from you. Super critical also. Okay. So finally, I want to talk also about community element in this day and age also. In this day and age, the days of being an underground internet marketer are gone. That's one thing that we cover with our clients. You got to build a following these days. You got to build a community. Some people call it a cult. I'm not always down with the word cult, right? But you got to meet up with people and you show your face, tell your story. That's really important these days also. Because if you can do that really well, people can really see you, connect with you, shake your hand. Those things help people want to buy from you, especially in the age of AI. AI, so much fake shit. People don't know if it's real. If you're able to show yourself, be able to connect with people, you show that you're real, people stand behind that. Very, very important also. We tell folks these days, how do you know that in the age of AI, artificial intelligence, people want authenticity more? Hey man, why do people go for things like high rocks? Why do people go for concerts? I was meeting up with a friend recently, and he was complaining that one of the coaches that he found, he didn't really feel that the person lived up to standards. I said, why? Because he said, oh man, the person never ever met me. I said, wait, what? How does that got to do with anything? People want an authentic, genuine connection these days. Really is really important for people. So as you build your community, yes, you stay top of mind, you give them all these things and get opportunities to meet the people. Very, very critical. people feel like, oh my God, this is my go-to person. Then when it comes down to conversion, right, we're always looking for different ways to convert. It's a low ticket, would you want to do a book launch? Would you want to do a class? Would you want to do a webinar? These are all multiple challenges also, right? These are all multiple mechanisms and methods that work. Really, really important to find one or a few that work for you. And finally, when you come in, right? When you come in, gotta deliver. I always love talking about delivery also. Because that's why do people join? Yeah, they want to get a result, but is it just only one-on-one coaching? No. So some things they're better done one-to-one when you're like solving people's problems. But when you're teaching, you want a group energy. It's just far more exciting. Do it group style. Then in some cases you got to give them videos they can watch and watch again. In some cases they want accountability. In some cases they want community. These are all things that matter to people. I like giving a holistic. And in some cases they want an AI chatbot also. For those moments where there are small things that they want a chatbot in order to solve problems really quickly, give them some AI tools. These are all things that are holistic that people all use and require in order for them to do well and perform. And if you create all of these things, you become the go-to person. So that's the delivery part. So a lot of coaches that fail and refuse to scale or can't scale, delivery problem. They only believe in one-on-ones. Also, you need to let people know that specifically timed one-on-one delivery. Oh my God, that is the worst. You know why? When you're good at something, you don't need 1 hour. When I coach and consult people, when we get a chance to chat, it would be 1 hour. Why? Because maybe it takes faster than 1 hour. That's the important part. It might take way shorter than 1 hour. If you're good at something, imagine this. If I'm good at surgery, if I'm good at car repair, I may take way shorter than a less skilled person. So if you're timing it to 1 hour, then what if you do faster? What if the person doesn't have anything else left? Very, very, very important. Now let's talk about retention and refer. Retention, man, that is a conversation that we had all on its own. How do you get people to stay on, have different stages of the journey where they can be a part of and with you all the way to where they want to reach, where they want to be. Creating that journey for people, super critical, super important also. And by the way, let's jump right back and talk very quickly also about something we call customer journey. Oh my God. I know we're supposed to be talking about retention and stuff. I just want to talk about this thing also, because it just hit me as we talk about the start of journey. In this day and age, people keep talking about funnels. And I just tell you, funnels are dead. Funnels are a great concept, 1.5 to 1.9 marketing. You walk people through this particular thing. Ooh, it's a straight process. Yeah, that straight line only exists in fantasy. It doesn't exist in reality. Because why? People are busy. They don't follow your funnel. So in this day and age, we'll see this thing here, have a conversation with someone outside. They talk about this. It could be online, it could be offline, it could be reading something, overhearing something, right? So the customer journey is very non-linear. And this is why you got to design all these different touch points so that the customer is able to go through all of these different things. Either I have a conversation here, I saw your picture here, I saw your book here, I saw this person talk about you, I will check this thing out, etc. It's a different journey, and by the time you go through all of this journey, all roads point back to you, which is why we're doing this 5C thing, because I want all roads to point back to you. But anyway, very passionate conversation about that. So there's delivery, there's retention, having a journey that people can be a part of, right? Why will people continue with you? Because you help them along the journey that they're on. That's why they stay with you. And the last one is called refer. Now, how do you refer? Well, that's a great conversation to have. People usually suck at referrals for a lot of reasons. Number one, you don't tell people specifically who you're looking for. Hey, do you have somebody you can refer me? I don't know, man. I know thousands of people. I have no idea which one. If you can be very, very specific about kind of people you want, it will really help me. First one. Number two, you got to have something that's very, very easy to give away. Right? A no-brainer offer that I can just pass on to my friend and say, hey, here's something that you can go and check it out. See, if you make it too hard for me to help you, I'm not going to help you because I just don't really know how to help you. So you got to, number one, tell people specifically what kind of people you want. Number two, make it easy for people to give away and help you. Number three, what I kind of realized is at the end of the day, the number one key, you see the difference between a referral and an affiliate. Huge difference. There are people who are what we call professional affiliates. You know what? You know what they do? They just sit around and design affiliate promotion campaigns. Those people are in it for the money. Most people refer, ironically, not for the money. They want to share something useful with people they love. How do I know? I've done this for 18 plus years. Often I tell people, hey man, you got a referral bonus. Do you want it? They say, actually no. You know what? Just pass on the particular thing over to my friend or my family or my relative. That's what I usually say. So if you can design something where the person that they help to refer to benefits, even the person themselves. So I ask you a quick question. What do you think makes people want to refer more? Do think it's money or maybe an extension, let's say 1 month or an extra session of your thing. Which one do you think? Is it monetary or is it extension? The answer is extension. I have seen people say, hey, you know what, I want to pass on the saving to the other person, but instead of money, maybe you give me an extra of this particular thing that they get from you. They will gladly refer a lot more people. They would rather not take the cash. And that's the part that a lot of people miss out because they want to reward people with money. I tell you, a lot of these people don't want the money. They want their friend, their relative, their family to go, oh my God, what a good introduction. Thank you so much. They feel good about that. Then also that person gets a discount. They feel doubly good about themselves because they get the person's gratitude. And if you can give them slightly an extension or something that they like, woohoo, they love it. So that's how to do the referral correctly. Find the right kind of people, make it easy to give away, give them the discount, give them an extension, happily to do it. That's what we need to do for referrals. Okay. So I could go on and on with this passionate topic, do this every single day. And as you watch this video, all I want you to know is, times have changed. Okay. It's not on me. I'm here as a harbinger of truth. I'm a messenger. You might have done marketing before or may not have. You've done marketing before. Don't worry. I'm in the same boat. I had to, really take a look at the situation and say, you know what? As much as we might not want to change, as much as we say we love the times of the past where things were so much easier, this is the way it is. But I notice the people that jump on the bandwagon and do the 5 Cs now, they are not making a little bit more money. They're not making a lot more money. They're making a lot more money. And that's the thing. Because when you can centralize and absorb everyone's attention, because you do all the 5 Cs so well, you convert so well, do all these things really well, you're making an astronomical amount of money. So yes, make no mistake, a lot more work. But you know what? A lot more reward also. When you do the things that people are not willing to do, you get rewarded a lot more. I want you to understand that. And so, I look forward to chatting with you. Why? Because I need to help you design your own 5C strategy. We need to get clear what exactly is your character, what exactly is your vision, what kind of content work for you. Remember the 3 layers of content. Which one is better for you? What is your attention-grabbing content? What is your origin story? And I can tell over this video, it's very one way. What exactly is the expertise content you should be shooting? What community platforms you should be on? How should you engage your people? How to use AI to do all these things? Then last of all, what conversion methods work well for you? And finally, how are you going to get the people to stay on? How are you going to deliver in a way that doesn't kill yourself? And last of all, how are we going to get them to refer in a gentle, relaxed manner? You nail all of these things, you get 3, 5, 10x more revenue than ever before. So, once again, this video overview of the stuff that I work with people all the time about. You know what? Most important thing you have to do. Book a call. Let's chat. Let's talk. Let's see how you can do this for yourself as well.